In 1 Corinthians 11:3, Paul describes a line of authority and submission saying, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God." In verse 4 he says, "Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head." Based upon the context in verse 14, we understand that Paul is referring to a man having long hair. A man praying having long hair dishonors his head, which is Christ, according to verse 3. In verse 5, Paul says, "But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven." Again, based upon the context in verse 15, we know that Paul is referring to women who don't keep their hair long enough that covers their head. He tells them that by doing so they dishonor their head, which is their husbands, according to verse 3. And he says in that case they might as well shave their hair off. In verse 6, Paul says, "For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered." Again, referring to women who don't keep their hair long enough that covers their head. He says if that's the case, they should cut it even shorter. But if they're ashamed to cut their hair shorter than what it already is, or if they are ashamed to have their hair completely shaved off, as he mentioned in verse 5, then let them cover their entire head with hair. In verse 7 he says, "For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, forasmuch as he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man." Again, Paul says that we as men are created in God's image, therefore we shouldn't cover our head with long hair. But women should, because women are the glory of men. We as men take glory in our spouse's long hair. In verses 8 through 10 he says, "For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels." Paul says that the man is not of the women, referring to Adam not being created after Eve, but vice versa. Neither was the man created for the woman, but vice versa. And then he says, "For this cause, because the woman was created for the man, let women have power on their head." Again, referring to women having long hair. Now, the reason a woman's long hair portrays power is because her long hair indicates submission to her husband. She's not disrespecting her husband by having the same hair length as he does.